Life is going to test you. Not once, not twice, but over and over again. It's going to push you to your limits, break you down, and make you question everything you thought you were. And in those moments, you have two choices. Let it destroy you or let it forge you into something unstoppable. You must get through this. You see, pain is temporary. But quitting is permanent. The moment you decide to give up, you seal your fate. The pain you feel today will eventually fade, but the regret of giving in will haunt you forever. So when life knocks you down, when the weight of the world is crushing your spirit, when you feel like you have nothing left, stand up. Fight back. Because every battle you survive makes you stronger. Pressure creates diamonds. You weren't meant to live a soft, easy life. You were built to endure, to push through, to rise above. The fire you're walking through right now, it's refining you. It's burning away the weaknesses, the doubts, the fears. It's shaping you into something unbreakable. You may not see it now, but every struggle is carving out the masterpiece that is you. Your mind is the battlefield. The war isn't happening outside of you. It's happening within. The thoughts you allow, the beliefs you hold, the way you speak to yourself, that's what determines whether you win or lose. If you fill your mind with excuses, with self-doubt, with fear, then you've already lost. But if you decide, right here, right now, that nothing will break you, that nothing will stop you, that you will rise no matter how many times you fall, then you become unstoppable. There is a purpose in your struggle. Nothing you are going through is pointless. Every setback, every heartbreak, every failure, it's all preparing you. You're being tested because you are meant for more. The strongest warriors are given the hardest battles, and if you're fighting right now, that means you are chosen. So don't you dare give up. Don't you dare break under the weight of hardship. Stand tall. Push forward. Keep fighting. Because on the other side of this storm is a version of you that is stronger, wiser, and ready to claim the life that was always meant for you. You must get through this. There was a time when he thought the pain would never end. Every morning felt like a battle. Every night a reminder of the weight on his shoulders. He had dreams, big ones, but life had a way of throwing obstacles at him, testing his will, breaking him down piece by piece. The pain wasn't just physical. It was mental, emotional, a constant storm raging inside his mind, whispering the same words over and over again. Give up. It's not worth it. You'll never make it. And he almost listened. There comes a point in everyone's life when the struggle feels unbearable, when the weight of the world presses so hard against you that you wonder if you'll ever stand tall again. The failures, the rejections, the heartbreaks, they pile up, suffocating you, making you question why you even started in the first place. And in that moment, when the pain is at its worst, there's a temptation to quit, to walk away, to convince yourself that maybe it wasn't meant for you. But what most people don't realize is that pain is temporary. The suffering, the exhaustion, the doubt, it's all fleeting. The problem is, when you quit, the pain doesn't disappear. It just changes shape. It turns into regret. And regret is the one pain that lasts forever. Think about the last time you quit something you truly cared about. Maybe it was a dream you abandoned, a skill you stopped practicing, a goal you once swore you'd achieve. At the time, quitting might have felt like a relief. But later, when the dust settled, when life moved on, you felt it creeping in, that sting of regret. The what-ifs that haunt you. The thought of what could have been if you had just held on a little longer. Because here's the truth. Those who succeed in life are not the ones who never fail. They are the ones who refuse to quit. They are the ones who take the punches, get knocked down, and stand back up over and over again. There was once a young man who wanted to be great. He wasn't the strongest, the smartest, or the most talented, but he had one thing, heart. He worked harder than everyone around him, pushing himself to the limit every single day. But life wasn't kind to him. He failed more times than he could count. People doubted him, laughed at him, told him to give up, and there were moments when he almost did. One night, after yet another failure, he sat alone in his room, staring at the ceiling. The pain was unbearable. He wanted to scream, to run, to escape the feeling of defeat that clung to him like a shadow. And then he thought to himself, what if I just quit? What if I walk away and pretend this dream was never mine? For a moment, it seemed like the easy way out. No more failure. No more struggle. No more pain. But then another thought crept in. If I quit now, I'll carry this failure with me forever. I'll always wonder what could have happened if I had just kept going one more day, one more hour, one more step, asterisk. So he made a choice. He decided that no matter how hard it got, no matter how much it hurt, he would never quit. And that decision changed everything. Because the truth is, pain is a teacher. Every setback is a lesson. Every struggle is a stepping stone. And the pain you feel today is shaping you into the person you need to be tomorrow. The moments when you feel like you can't go on, those are the moments that define you. Think of the greatest athletes, the most successful entrepreneurs, the legends who changed the world. They all have one thing in common. They endured. They pushed through the pain when others walked away. They embraced the struggle instead of running from it. And because of that, they turned their dreams into reality. So when life knocks you down, when you feel like you have nothing left, remember this: you are not alone. Every great person before you has felt the same way. The difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't talent, luck, or privilege. It's the refusal to quit. The pain will pass. The struggle will fade. But the strength you gain from enduring it will stay with you forever. So don't give in. Don't let the temporary pain dictate the rest of your life. Because the moment you choose to keep going, despite the hardship, despite the doubt, that is the moment you step into your greatness. There was a boy who grew up believing life was supposed to be easy. He saw successful people and thought they had it all figured out. He thought they were just lucky, that they had been handed something special. But then life taught him a different lesson. It started with small struggles, disappointments, failures, moments of doubt. And then the real tests came. He lost things he thought he could never live without. He faced rejection, pain, and heartbreak. The kind of pain that keeps you awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if you'll ever feel whole again. The kind of struggle that makes you question everything. He didn't understand it at first. Why was this happening to him? Why did life feel so unfair? He looked at others and wondered if they felt the same pressure he did, if they carried the same weight on their shoulders. He wanted answers, but all he got was more hardship. Then, one day, someone told him a simple truth that changed everything. Pressure creates diamonds. He had heard the phrase before, but he never really understood it. So he looked into it. He learned that diamonds, the hardest, most unbreakable substance on Earth, don't start that way. They begin as nothing more than black lumps of carbon, ordinary and weak. But deep beneath the surface of the Earth, they are subjected to unimaginable pressure. The kind of pressure that could break anything. The kind of force that reshapes and transforms. And yet, instead of being destroyed, that simple piece of carbon becomes something rare, something precious, something indestructible. That was the moment it clicked. The pressure he was feeling wasn't there to break him. It was there to shape him, to refine him, to turn him into something stronger than he ever imagined. The greatest people in history understood this. The legends, the game changers, the ones who left a mark on this world, they all went through pressure beyond what most people could handle. They weren't born extraordinary. They were made. Think of the greatest athletes, the ones who push themselves beyond their limits. They don't just wake up one day at the top of their game. They go through grueling training, endless pain, exhaustion that makes their entire body beg to quit. And yet, they don't stop. They embrace the pressure because they know it's molding them into champions. Think of the most successful entrepreneurs, the ones who changed industries, built empires, created movements. They didn't start with a blueprint for success. They started with failure, with rejection, with doors slammed in their faces. They lost money. They lost friends. They had moments where everything was on the verge of collapse. But they didn't break. They adapted. They learned. They let the pressure shape them into something greater. Think of the strongest warriors, the bravest leaders, the ones who inspire generations. They were not given an easy path. They were thrown into battles they never asked for. They were tested in ways that most people couldn't survive. But that's why they became legends. Because pressure doesn't destroy you. It reveals who you really are. The boy finally understood. Every hard moment in his life wasn't there to push him down. It was there to elevate him. The heartbreaks, the failures, the struggles, they weren't punishments. They were preparation. They were carving out the person he was meant to become. He realized that most people run from pressure. The moment life gets hard, they give up. They tell themselves it's too much, that they weren't meant for greatness. But what they don't understand is that pressure is a privilege. It means life is giving you the opportunity to become something extraordinary. He made a choice that day, a choice to embrace the pressure, to stop running from the struggle and start using it as fuel, to remind himself every time things got hard that diamonds are only made in the toughest conditions. And from that moment on, everything changed. Because once you understand that pressure is not your enemy, but your greatest ally, you become unstoppable. There was a man who had two voices inside his head. One voice told him he wasn't good enough, that he would never make it, that no matter how hard he tried, he would always fall short. The other voice whispered something different. It told him to keep going, to push harder, to believe in himself even when no one else did. Every day, these two voices battled for control. Some days, the negative voice won. It filled his mind with doubt, made him hesitate, made him fear failure so much that he refused to take action. Other days, the stronger voice took over. It gave him courage, made him push forward, reminded him that every great success story started with someone who refused to quit. What he didn't realize at first was that this battle wasn't just happening inside him. It was happening inside everyone. Every single person on this planet has a war raging inside their mind. Some lose the battle without even realizing it. They let doubt, fear, and negativity control their lives. They never take risks, never chase their dreams, never fight for the life they truly want. But others understand the truth. And the truth is this: your mind is the battlefield, and the way you think determines whether you rise or fall. Think about the most successful people in history. What do they all have in common? It's not luck. It's not talent. It's not even resources. It's mindset. They saw opportunities where others saw obstacles. They believed in themselves when no one else did. They silenced the doubts, ignored the fear, and programmed their minds for success. Because the way you think is everything. The man started to notice something. Every time he focused on what he couldn't do, he felt weaker. He became hesitant, unsure of himself, afraid to make a move. But when he focused on what was possible, when he told himself he could do it, that he would do it, everything changed. It wasn't about magic. It wasn't about pretending that struggles didn't exist. It was about understanding that the mind is the control center of everything. If you tell yourself you can't do something, you've already lost before you've even tried. But if you tell yourself you can, if you truly believe it, then no setback can stop you. No failure can break you. No challenge can shake you. The battle isn't happening out in the world. It's happening inside your own head. There was a time when he let negative thoughts control him. He saw successful people and thought, they have something I don't. He convinced himself that no matter how hard he worked, he would always be behind, always be struggling, always be one step away from failure. And that belief became his reality. Until one day, He met someone who had been through worse. Someone who had failed harder, suffered more, lost everything, but still stood tall. This person wasn't smarter than him. They weren't luckier. The only difference was their mindset. They had trained their mind to win. They didn't see failure as the end. They saw it as a lesson. They didn't let doubt control them. They silenced it. They didn't allow fear to dictate their actions. They moved forward anyway. And in that moment, he realized the truth. He had been his own worst enemy. All the obstacles he thought were holding him back. They weren't real. The only thing holding him back was the way he thought. So he made a choice. A choice to stop feeding the negative voice in his head. A choice to reject self-doubt, to destroy fear, to reprogram his mind for success. Every time a negative thought crept in, he fought back. Every time fear whispered, "You can't," he responded, "Watch me." And with that decision, his entire life changed. Because once you understand that the real war is inside your mind, and you learn how to win it, nothing can stop you. There was a woman who had lost everything. She had worked for years to build a life she was proud of, pouring her heart and soul into her dreams, only to watch them crumble before her eyes. She felt like the world had turned against her, like no matter how hard she tried, she was destined to fail. Every night, she lay awake, replaying her mistakes, wondering where she had gone wrong. She had given her best, yet life had taken so much from her. The pain felt unbearable, the weight of it pressing down on her, suffocating her spirit. She looked around and saw others moving forward, succeeding, finding happiness, while she was stuck in the storm, drowning in struggle. She couldn't see it then, but what she was going through had a purpose. Every hardship, every tear, every painful moment, it was all shaping her into something greater. The struggle wasn't there to destroy her. It was there to prepare her. But in the middle of the storm, it's hard to see beyond the rain. It's hard to understand why life feels so cruel, why the road is so difficult. She asked herself the same questions over and over again. Why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? But then she met someone who had been through worse. Someone who had walked through fire, faced unimaginable losses, and still stood tall. This person looked her in the eyes and said, one day, you'll understand. One day, you'll see that every hardship you're facing is a lesson. Every loss is making room for something greater. Every closed door is leading you to something better. One day, you'll realize that this struggle isn't happening to you. It's happening for you. At first, she didn't believe it. How could something so painful be preparing her for something greater? But as time passed, she started to see the truth. She looked back at the moments that had nearly broken her, and realized that each one had taught her something. The heartbreaks had made her stronger. The failures had made her wiser. The betrayals had shown her who truly belonged in her life. The struggles had forced her to grow in ways she never would have otherwise. Everything she had been through had been shaping her into the person she was meant to become. She realized that some of the most successful, influential, and inspiring people in the world had walked through their own storms. They had faced rejection, loss, and pain. They had been knocked down, underestimated, and left behind. But they didn't let their struggles define them. They used them as fuel. She learned about the man who was fired from his dream job and thought his career was over, only to go on and build something far greater than he ever imagined. She read about the woman who was rejected dozens of times before finally achieving her breakthrough, proving that every no she had faced was just leading her to the right yes. She listened to stories of leaders, creators, and visionaries who had all faced moments of despair, only to rise higher than ever before. She started to see her struggles differently. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" she began to ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" Instead of seeing failure as a dead end, she saw it as a redirection. Instead of viewing pain as punishment, she saw it as preparation. The more she embraced this mindset, the more her life began to change. She no longer feared hardship, because she knew it was a necessary part of her journey. She no longer let failure define her, because she understood that every great success story had chapters filled with struggle. She no longer saw obstacles as barriers. They were stepping stones, lifting her higher. One day, she looked back at the version of herself who had once felt lost and broken, and she smiled. She smiled because she finally understood. Every tear she had cried, every battle she had fought, every painful moment she had endured, it had all been leading her here. Because the truth is, the struggle is not the end of the story. It's just the beginning. Listen to me. This is not the end of your story. This is not where you stop. This is not where you break. This is where you rise. You have been through storms that would have destroyed weaker people. You have felt pain that could have shattered anyone else. But you're still here. You're still standing. And if you're still standing, that means the fight isn't over. You are not being buried. You are being planted. And when the time is right, you will rise stronger, wiser, and more powerful than ever before. Look back at every moment that nearly broke you, every time life tried to crush you, every time you felt like you couldn't go on. And yet, here you are. That means you have something inside you, something unbreakable, something unstoppable. The struggles didn't defeat you. They prepared you. The pain didn't ruin you. It refined you. And every tear you've shed, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt was not for nothing. It was shaping you into the person you were always meant to become. You didn't come this far to only come this far. The world may try to tell you that you're not enough, that you're not strong enough, not smart enough, not worthy enough. But the world does not decide your destiny. You do. The greatest battles are given to the strongest warriors, and if you are fighting right now, that means you were chosen. That means there is something greater ahead of you, something bigger than you can even imagine. Muhammad Ali once said, "Don't count the days, make the days count." You have time. You have breath in your lungs. That means you have another shot, another chance, another day to fight for the life you deserve. The pain you feel today will be the strength you rely on tomorrow. The struggle you're facing now will be the story that inspires millions one day. When you feel like quitting, remember why you started. When you feel like giving up, remember that the greatest champions, the most legendary names, the icons we admire all had moments where they felt just like you. But they refused to stop. They refused to let the struggle define them. They refused to let their circumstances dictate their future. You must do the same. It's not whether you get knocked down, it's whether you get up. That's what Vince Lombardi said. And he was right. Every fall, every setback, every failure is an opportunity to rise again. Because the world belongs to those who refuse to stay down. Think about the people you admire, the ones who made history, the ones who changed the world. They all had a choice, stay down or rise. And they chose to rise. Now, it's your turn. You have come too far. You have fought too hard. You have survived too much to let this moment defeat you. You are stronger than you think. You are braver than you believe. And you are destined for more than you could ever imagine. So don't you dare stop now. Let them doubt you. Let them underestimate you. Let them say you'll never make it. Because one day, those same people will tell your story. They will use your name as an example of what it means to never give up. They will look at you and say, asterisk, that person refused to quit. That person rose when no one thought they could. That person proved everyone wrong. Asterisk. And when that day comes, you'll smile, because you'll know that every hardship, every tear, every ounce of pain was worth it. Now go, fight, rise, and show the world what happens when you refuse to break.